Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745, and we are most assuredly continuing the Barbarossa campaign. We're going to fight it to some sort of conclusion, even if the conclusion is just stalemate, and we determine that it's stalemate. I don't know. But we're going to fight this out more. Now, I just started to talk a little bit here live about the book, The Prize. And there's also a documentary, I think it's about like 2 hours long, The Prize, made by the author of the book. Or at least, he wrote the stuff. I don't know who actually made the documentary. And the prize of the 20th century, then the latter part of it, was oil. And in the documentary, I remember them stating that Germany captured enough oil in France to equal its operational use for a year. So it may be all wrong. I don't know whether it's wrong or right, but according to the documentary, The Prize, Germany captures enough oil in France for its operating budget or amount for a year. And, I'm sure Germany could have spent, more oil or less oil. And we sort of got on to the topic because of Baku here that we hold. We don't hold my cup, or we briefly held, but I couldn't hold on to Grozny. Ari was asking whether how long will the Soviets do without their oil? Well, like I was saying, games don't get everything right, even if you want to call them simulations and are really trying to simulate things. They don't do everything right. And so, Hearts of Iron 4 looks at the often realistic, I say often, is that most things like coal, oil, are mostly in the ground until they're needed. So they don't do big stockpiles like this, huge stockpiles of steel and coal just waiting outside of the factories to be burned. And that's quite true. This is obviously way too much steel. We're still producing more steel than we are using in the game, which would be unhistoric. Now, Germany produced lots and lots of steel. Germany, during the war, they had the, what was it called? Something like the Krieger's engine or whatever. They built the one thing that Germany built more or less like the American, and the Soviets copied the American production style. The one thing they did like America was build railway engines. I know I'm sort of jumping around here a bit, but I hope this is interesting. And we're keeping on the industrial map for the moment because of this. Germany, they go like, oh yeah. Now, there's actually a lot of the ways and I just sort of investigated and watched more documentaries on tank production, so I know it a little bit better. But the way they sort of do is they, contract out for, 150 Panther D tanks to this, corporation that had these, the factories. And so they would, start cranking out. And it was all sort of bid on and, rather, government trying to buy buying tanks from factories, as opposed to ordering the factory produce tanks. Well, we'll give you payment, but produce tanks. It was a lot of legalese, contractual kind of agreements, And so the corporations, because I don't want to say tank factories because it may be multiple factories or whatever, but the various corporations, Krupp or Alket or Vomag or whoever in the tank world would have a contract, and they had to work towards that contract. The contract could be ended, and often was, by the government and shifted around. Sometimes I think it was 500 Panzer II Ls or Loches or Lynx. It's Loche and Lynx are just German or English for the same animal. And it was the late model 20 millimeter. I think the original contract was like 500 or maybe 1,000. I don't know. It ended up being 100. And so there's a very, very close to 100 because there may be 2 or 3 prototypes made or something of these mid to late war reconnaissance vehicles. And they were meant to be light reconnaissance vehicles. And so, it's very contractual, shall we say. More than I would have expected, the way Germany worked with its corporations. Hello, Eric. So you have this very contractual relationship. But what they would often do is like, oh, yeah, they're producing these tanks, and then, field reports would come in or requests from the army or whatever. And I go, hey, can you make this hatch work a little differently? And the company would go, yeah, sure, no problem. Well, we've got 50 tanks out there or 30 tanks out there waiting to go to the front. Well, let's bring them all back into the factory, maybe, or whatever it might be, and update them to the newest hatch model that they would work out. And so they would delay delivering these tanks to get the newest hatch model, and they would change all of the stuff that's currently in production to the newer hatch model, or cupola model, or whatever element it was on the tank. And so they would constantly be fiddling with tank production. Well, Americans mostly just sort of turned on the spigot for, there were different models because there were different factories producing it. One was a cast hull and one was a welded hull Sherman, and they would crank them out for a long time, and they didn't fiddle with little upgrades. And then they would do significant upgrades, and because there are models, and there were special companies that would, make special versions of tanks, but they mostly just turned them on, produced, and that was the thing. Well, the one thing, basically at the beginning of the war, through to the end of the war, Germany refused, or I don't have the document. The guy who was in charge of the Reichsbahn, the German railway system, or the guy in charge of the production of engines and whatnot, they came up with the war model. And they produced that war model. They didn't change, to the best of my knowledge, one little thing about that war model. Coal, because you can put wood in it, obviously, but mostly burning coal. Railway engine. And they just cranked those engines out constantly, as much as they could get steel for, and pump it through the system. Now, that's just engines. That's not the other rolling stock, whether it's a flat car to move tanks and trucks, or just put pallets of supplies on it, or box cars to, whether you're moving wounded away from the front or people to, crematoriums, box cars or passenger cars. Or they're producing all kinds of those other things, as well as, of course, capturing a lot of that stuff. But the one thing Germany just cranks out, starts at the beginning of the war and cranks steadily out through the whole war, is the Krieger engine, the war engine. Everything else throughout Germany, they're constantly fiddling with. Another example, Czechoslovakia adopts a Mauser-style rifle. It's a Mauser rifle. Instead of continuing to use the Austrian rifles, and they also produce it in, I'm blanking on, not the Schmidt-Rubin, the Mannlicher Austrian rifles, from World War I. They decide to go with the German Mauser, and they do it in the German caliber. So there's is it Skoda, or I forget. No, CZ. It would be CZ. Yeah, it's CZ is making them. And so they're making these, copies of the German Mausers. They convert, because it was the old factories that made some of the primary factories for the old Austro-Hungarian Empire for rifles. they convert it and start cranking out German Mausers for the rather largish for Czechoslovakia, Czech army. And so they keep cranking those out. Well, Germany, of course, takes over the factory. And they sort of kind of keep cranking them out that way for a while. I don't think they, keep it on full speed production, but they produce it out. And, they're non-standard. And to the point that most of the parts are not interchangeable with the rest of German Mausers. I just saying that. I don't know, and I have to get out the books and look at the details, but I don't think they're generally interchangeable parts. And so they're doing that. Now, one of the things the German mountain troops, the Gebirgsjägers, would like a nice lighter weight rifle. So they end up producing them in the Czech factory. And I think it's the G1133 or it's the G33/11. It's one way or the other, and I forget which one it is. Now, I own one of these rifles, and they're really beautiful rifles. I've not shot it. I've shot other Mausers, but I've not shot mine. It's a really, really lightweight Mauser rifle, about as light as you can practically get it, to the point that to the point that the cocking handle has a little round end on it for cocking, and it's a turn down style bolt on it. But they actually hollow out the round end on it. They actually have to machine out and hollow out that just to save ounces on that gun. So they're doing everything they can to save a little bit of weight on that gun and a few other changes. Well, they keep that version in production until it is basically decided to convert all of the Czech manufacturing, to the standard German Karabiner 98K. And okay, that part is not so bad, but still, probably didn't take it too big of a hiccup in converting it. But see, they're constantly fiddling around instead of just turning it on, producing a Mauser rifle that'll take the same bullets, the same stripper clip. The big difference is it's a straight bolt coming out as opposed to a turn down bolt, and it is already a similar length rifle. It's not a big long Gewehr 98 length rifle. So they're constantly fiddling with production. And we're getting back to the resources here, don't worry. And so Germany is producing huge amounts of steel items during the war. See, there's some seaplanes here over along with some Italians. So steel for more railways, because they're building more railways. Steel for more rail engines, steel for more rolling stock, steel for all the rebar, the reinforcing bar. Well, maybe it's just iron bar. I don't know whether it's iron or steel. Probably mild steel. But all kinds of steel being used in building the West Wall, the Atlantic Wall, the West Wall. Down here, boy. We came here, get this right. Building the Atlantic Wall, doing all of these things, huge amounts of steel is being used. And there is definitely, because of all this, definitely a shortage of steel. What the real shortage, though, is, I'm not saying, there isn't a constraint on steel allocations within Germany. There is. It's not like this, that functionally unlimited amount of steel. The real constraint is on high quality steel. That is the real constraint for Germany. I'm not an expert, but I've got to presume that a steel engine, whether it's in a truck, a tank, or an aircraft, has to be pretty damn good, because it's dealing with something that's very high temperatures. The engine firing, the pistons firing all huge amounts of time. So that's got to be pretty good steel. You want good steel on a rifle barrel, machine gun barrel particularly. Now the steel for the trigger guard and the trigger of the same rifles and machine guns, it can be just sort of junk steel. It doesn't have to be high quality steel. The springs have to be good quality spring steel in the guns, that deal with it. So there's elements within a standard rifle like the butt plate, that can be just low quality steel. Doesn't matter. Now, knowing the Germans, they may be putting high quality steel in their butt plates, but it just sort of is something that doesn't need to be good quality steel. So I really don't think the real bottleneck or the real limitations for Germany is steel production. Now, I say that, but then you could probably point out elements of where it is because of Allied action. Getting in, like we know the dam busters, the raid on the Ruhr Dam where they drop the bouncing bomb that goes down and blows the dam, that takes out a lot of industrial capability, taking out the coal, because you need coal, whether to move the trains to, from the, move trains anywhere, but move the iron to the steel mills and away from the mines. To use coal to many mines are going deep enough, and they need to have pumps working to keep the water from filling up. So keep the pumps working at the mines. Need the steel to power the mines, the factories, because a lot of them have local power generation there. Or they're on the power grid, which, there are some hydroelectric dams in Germany for sure. Again, the dam busters take some of them out. But they're also running huge amounts of coal-fired electrical plants. Well, those go down, your steel mill doesn't work. You also need coal in the manufacturing of steel. So, because of all of war actions, I know that is constraining significantly steel production. Now, we can click here. We do see some bombing, and so they've damaged, because this is red, so it'll come back, get our steel production up here. Okay, well, they've taken out one IC and whatnot here. Here, taking out two ICs and some iron or some steel. This is real just metal, but it's more iron. Two ICs. So we are facing some levels of bombing damage here. But, Wilhelmshaven been bombed. Lots of ICs here. I guess maybe that was a port strike. I don't know. But, or it was minor damage. So maybe, and though we've been shifting a lot of air to the east to deal with the bombing there, we are, we don't know. I guess they're using these to bomb. Okay, and so here they've taken out all the coal, all the iron, all of the rares, and a lot of our factories here in Schweinfurt, where the famous ball bearing raids were. So we're sort of relying on Italy to stop some of that. So that is part of the constraint of Germany. This gets back to Ari's question, which has gotten me off on a tangent here, is I don't know what in the game, here's Moscow, are the reserves of oil and anything else in the Soviet Union if taking these hurts the Soviets at this time. I know it would have, because in real life, I don't know how fast it would have hurt them, but it would have hurt them. It would have hurt them. They did, the Germans did get, I think it was my cop here, and almost got, or briefly got Rosny, I'm not sure, but yes. Okay, good for armor in tank. In tank, German use alloys made of steel, cobalt, and molybdenum. But very quickly, they start to miss cobalt. Yes, and I've read, late war accounts of, Panther turrets being hit and sort of fracturing, maybe along the weld seams or other elements of it, from not just being penetrated by whatever projectiles hitting them, but fracturing the armor around it, which would show poor quality steel in at least, the tempering of it, it's too brittle or whatever, and whether it's entirely made up, or the problem is it's alloy, because steel at a minimum is an alloy of iron and carbon from coal. But as you're saying, I do know it's other metals put in it at different ratios and amounts, and I'm not a metallurgist to to know just how all that works, but it's that kind of a thing. So you have steel is a product. Iron is, now you got to refine it, true, but iron is a natural resource. Steel is a production product. Oil is a natural resource. A lot of the big turbine ships could burn, well, at least light sweet crude, and that's a type of crude. They could burn it, and they could probably burn some more stuff straight out of the ground, some dirtier oils straight out of the ground. It would just mean if you're going to run it a lot doing that, you've got to do port overhauls enough to that you cool down and you get in and literally scrub out the system from all the buildup of excess carbon. And that could be a real effing problem, and keep your ships down for weeks or months. I don't know how long it would take, quite honestly, but it's more than a few days to get in there and properly scrub out the excess carbon. So there's work to do, but you can just run again the turbine type engines, not necessarily the diesel engines. I don't know how much processing you have to do. I read Tiger 2 get hull open during fight with Germans because of poor quality steel and welding. Absolutely, Hoffman. And it's that type of thing that is happening late war. The factories are, trying to do what they can. They dealing with what they've been given, shall we say. Meaning if they're given poor quality steel plate, steel armor plate, that they're going to use it because, one, they may not realize that it's poor quality. I don't know how easy it is for a tank manufacturer to test qualities of steel. You can test Rockwell hardnesses and things, and I know it exists. I just don't, know enough to tell you how easy it would be to check. But yeah, it's a thing that, in the late war, you're just doing what you can, the best you can to keep things going. And where, again, more critical would be things like gun barrels for your Tiger 2s or whatever, because they have to deal with it. So, yeah, steel, is an important product. So my problem with Hearts of Iron 4 in these resources is the inability to stockpile. My problem with Hearts of Iron 3 is the over ability to stockpile. So, I don't have a magical specific solution to just how big each. And obviously, you have nations like Germany, like France, that were stockpiling oil, because it's better to, at least generally speaking, it's better to store oil. It's less volatile than storing, refined fuel. And so you need refineries that can have a decent output of refined fuel, whether it's aviation gas, truck gas, or even diesel type stuff. The problem is not even the quality. You can have the best steel ever if you don't get cobalt and molybdenum in your steel. It's not good with absorbent hits. Absolutely. And Arno's here now. Thanks for hosting, Arno. So yeah, and or tungsten in your steel. I know they did some of that, and there's several different. And I saved some of the photos. The U.S. Navy after World War II got a hold of some German battleship type steel. I don't know if it's from a battleship or from a heavy cruiser or something, but of a particular thickness. Some Japanese, I think some British, and an American, and they use several, you see at the beginning of it, Vickers treatment or whatever. You get the different treatment type steels, and they fired, projectiles at them and recorded how they work, because that was still in the days that the Navy thought they needed armor on their ships to, deal with things. But, that's changed, obviously. But yeah, that, which is really interesting is the different models, and I can't get into it. I'm gathering Hoffman knows a little better than I do of it. So yeah, okay, we won this battle here. Okay, so we've won here. We're trying to push into here to then, I don't know if we're going to get a chance of pocketing, but okay. Yeah, they're attacking there. Okay, so we pushed into here. Good. We're starting to go a little bit more offensive, and we've won the battle here. Okay, they're retreating. Okay, you stop. Not you. Yeah, you're gonna move in to occupy this hex while these guys move it. Not hex, but province. Okay, they're attacking out there. They're hitting us pretty hard, but we're behind a river here, so we hopefully will do okay. Still somebody attacking? No, stop attacking. We are too exhausted. We don't want to move up. We're falling back with our forces behind here. We're giving up these two fortified. And once we get out, we may even give up these two provinces to make a more stable line here. Okay, we're going to do a spoiling attack. Okay, we've sunk another sub in the Black Sea. Medium armored designs have advanced. And so, yeah, at some point, you should, update your armor designs. But you don't need to fiddle with the production at every little detail, constantly changing it. Every little detail is you should build them, because to a point, to a very big point, it just got tank or don't got tank in this war. It's production levels. Production levels may be a bit more important for World War I. Production of ammunition, just keep those machine guns firing. Because, figure on a World War I battlefield or on even a World War II battlefield, how many rounds a second? Literally, how many rounds a second is this army shooting machine gun ammunition? And sure, and you need to average it out, yes. But yes, I'm sure it slows down at night. But it's shooting lots of rounds. So you've got to be making all of those rounds back in Germany. Artillery rounds, you've got to be making all of those. And so World War I, it's a bit more, to a point with World War I. Got rifle? Yes, no. The Italians have said, fuck this, we're going home. Is their objective? Oh, no, that's Hungary. That's Romania. Oh, their objective is over here, but they're not going there. Yeah, Italy is doing it. So it's a bit more, like I say, in World War I, just rifle. Mosin, Enfield, Mauser, really doesn't matter that much. Not on winning or losing a war. On a tactical situation, it does matter. But that we're here, tank designs, aircraft designs are a bit more important, but only on a limited extent. Okay, I'm going to hope these guys get in here and hold there. So we're going to move these guys this way because they're nice and motorized. Maybe they'll hold off this attack. And now these guys are doing a spoiling attack against us, but we're not in very good shape anyways. Okay, maybe with that infantry we'll do even better there. Waiting for supplies. Oh, well, a Jaeger division shattered. Is that right? Here. No, the Deutsches African Corps somewhere shattered. Okay. Well, that was our HQ. God damn. We're almost shattered again. That was on the defense. That's the second time he's shattered. Let's head him this way. And these guys up here, the defense or somewhere. Well, I'm doing very good, Arno. How have you been? Okay, so these guys have shattered. They're going to come here. And they're retreating, but they're retreating in good order. So as long as they don't get overrun, okay, we're continuing to win there, winning there, winning there. Okay, so long, like I said, I want to see how fast are we retreating. Okay, we're retreating at 1.5 kilometers an hour. Goddamn. We got plenty of supplies. Now they're coming here to hold this line. If it was, I hope they're nowhere near getting in there. Okay, well, we've won the Battle of Kursk there. Another unit shattered. Okay, oh, you're supposed to be retreating. What? No, you're retreating in. Did some groceries, ate some Burger King, took a very pleasant nap, and now I'm here. Well, very good, Arno. That sounds like a fun day. Okay, so we've come in here. They're bombing us pretty deep in here, but we're taking out some of their air bases. Now we've won here. They're pushing here too hard. So what we're going to do is... good. Oh, we need to do that. Okay, we're going to attack with this guy, and this guy just takes some pressure off. Now the other thing I wanted to do, and let's come over here, look at infrastructure mode here. We can sort of see the picture there. Let's do Belisarius Railway Network. And I think that is going to be the one, or maybe just, yeah, 10% ICs down. But we can see this here, right? Okay, let's click here and then here. Now we can see how there's a lot more light green and yellow here, which means better railways. And that's sort of why I've waited on some of this. And I've waited on the Baltics to hopefully get this, but, and I'm not sure. I haven't really tested it. I don't know if anybody knows to really unify the Southern Front. So I'll talk about that in a moment. But I thought I was going to get this quicker here, and I don't know if by doing this, if it upgrades the railways in the Baltics region or not. But we can see what it is there. Upgrade the railways. This is just 5% because it's a smaller amount of railway. Like there and then back here. Okay, more green, so more supplies will come up. I think these did change to brighter, so maybe it does affect there. Okay, well, okay, I understand what you're saying about unifying these fronts. But no, we shouldn't. For two reasons. The primary reason is supply. If, and in this game here, if this game, or if this sees only supply point is here, it will ship all of the fuel, all of the supplies it needs to this port. And fortunately, this port is a pretty big port level 8, so it can handle a lot of supplies coming in. Because supplies, the port size does not matter for shipping out. It only matters for receiving. If I were to, like I did here, and I talked about this in a video that will hopefully be released before this one is actually released. Hey, pickled blowfish, how you doing? If you do this, like I've done here, now it can trace supplies back to here. So it doesn't prioritize shipping of supplies in here. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't do some, but it doesn't prioritize it. So, you know, it's a bit iffy like that. And enemy has sunk one of our convoys. Yeah, we're sinking some. We're sinking enemy has sunk 5 of our convoys. That's because we've not been able to get this damn province to get those subs out of here. Now, we've been having our you know, ships and air go after the enemy. Here, out. Naval strike. Missing moves too. Let's see, I think I have these guys here. Those. So, yeah. So supply is a thing. Hey, the Bear Jew, how you doing? The other thing is we really don't have the forces to expand our front line here. I would really love to hold along this river, but definitely would want to hold Grozny, but yeah, this would be good, but I just don't have the units. I just don't have the concentration of force. Okay, you, I guess we're going to do a cross river attack with you. Hope that helps. Yeah, we've lost control there. You're defending still. You're coming in to help defend. Okay, good. They've made it here. That's good. So now they're being attacked pretty heavily, but well, just in hills. Okay. Maybe they'll exhaust themselves on us. The reason I retreated there wasn't because we were particularly losing. It was just we were too easy to cut off from the enemy, by the enemy. Okay, what are we... okay, stop this attack. It's what shattered our other things. And actually, I'm going to let these guys come out to here because it's going to come out in the plains, and then we're going to attack them again. We've got here, so we're holding here, and unfortunately these are like a nice mechanized force that would be much more useful along the front. Oh, stuff is very important after all in the major city. We'll take, yes, randomly caught a stream before bed. Well, very good. Pickled blowfish. You have any questions or whatever, please ask them. Yeah, because this is where, this is the city, and the port is down here. Yeah, I had it briefly, but couldn't hold it. I could not hold it. So send you back up that way. They're going to retreat out. They're coming to there, these guys. Well, they're going to hold probably against a single division. Many is probably good enough to hold them. Oh, well, now they got a second good division there. In even better shape. Yep, we've won here. Good. Okay, well, let's send you up to there. Well, let's follow in with the panzers. Okay, here, yes, exhausted, but I think it's time to attack. Okay, and I think it was the HQ. Nope, that one's still holding out. Which was the one that just shattered? No, one over here somewhere, anyways. Nope, send you back. Okay, well, we've won this battle here. Oh, here. Oh, good. Oh, good, 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 good. That means we can add something to this attack. There we go. Salt guns advance. Better stugs. Okay, that's grayed out. So yeah, figure out all your little changes. Wait till you're doing a significant change to the vehicle, then upgrade your minor changes. Because this is, quality does matter. It does matter if you're in a Tiger or a sort of standard M4 Sherman. Yeah, but still enough M4 Shermans make up for lack of Tigers, if you will. Because I'll tell you what, if you've got 10 Tigers sitting on that battlefield, now, yeah, if it's a super, pool table, flat battlefield, well, even then, no, because if you got enough aircraft, you just bomb the fuel trucks and the the ammo trucks for those Tigers, and you have Shermans that move faster and can stay out of the way. But especially if you have hills, forests, any sort of terrain features, you just sort of stay out of the way of the Tigers, and you chew up all the infantry around the Tigers. And then, yeah, you're getting close enough, and you can throw Molotov cocktails on the Tigers. So Tigers get isolated. So to a point, just having tank, relatively decent tank, is all you need in this war. And that's one thing the Germans never really figured out. On a standardized, on a basis, well accepted basis, shall we say. I'm not saying no one nowhere. What I'm saying is it was not an idea that was considered worthy of adopting. I don't know if I bother with those. Let's see, is there something down here I should do now? Yeah, probably some of these things. Okay, organization, morale for artillery. Let's go with organization first. Sweet one there, so that is good. Need to make sure this reinforcement stays up big time. Oh, okay. You ever start singing FDJ? Okay, well, I'm not exactly sure, and I don't know if I don't really want to ask you for that. You bomb fuel trucks and repair trucks. Yeah, Tigers, no more Tigers. Yes. Yeah, so it's, to a point, it's just literally the logistical capabilities of everything does matter. And like I say, the Germans never really got that well enough in ideas. Okay, well, more and more I see this, the more and more I think this is a bad idea. It's the idea we got now, but it's a bad idea. Just take too many losses from these pure support units. Yep. Give them at least a few hours to get better situated. What do you think separates Black Ice, War 3 Black Ice, and other World War II games, style strategy games? Why so? And they keep coming back. Same song about East Germany. Oh, okay, so some. It's a very good game. Hearts. Oh, well, we need to. Okay, we need to reduce. Okay, let's make sure that, because I want to fully make sure reinforcements get to be done. It's a very good game. I don't think anyone has made a better, global grand strategy game yet. There are very good ones. Trust me, I know. But no one has been able to, this is an hourly based game. You deal with all kinds of production, all kinds of politics. It just, it just sort of is the, hard game to beat, if you will. They're coming quick. I might get in time to save that unit from shattering. These guys, they're gonna hold up. Only with the heavy tank brigade. I mean, these guys up would be nice, but I'm sort of in the wrong spot still. These guys don't have any anti-tank. Well, Okay, so we push them out of there. It's there. Mostly as a pinning attack. Oh god, they're being hit hard. They fall back. And we need to move these guys via train to make sure they get there because they don't have enough supplies. Okay, how about getting supplies to them? Okay. Yes. One of them now. One of the mountain divisions here just shattered here. Okay. These guys, right. They're moving at 1. They're moving at less than that. Oh, damn. Stay where you're at. You fall back to there. You move to there. There's just a lot of trouble going through the mountains, I guess. Yeah, that isn't the best path for them, maybe. Okay, well, along here we've got this sort of solved. They're going to get there. Once they do, maybe we'll shift the infantry down. Here, okay, now we've got 2 divisions here. They'll be able to take on all of those tanks. Yeah, we knew we were going to lose that, and that was going to be lost eventually. We'd rather get the unit out. Because we can look here as why this was going to be lost. If we had, I mean, maybe they're only attacking from these 2 provinces, but they could attack from a total of 4. Where this same unit here in fairly good shape still doesn't have anti-tank guns. But this actually is an or is a mountain brigade unit here, but does also have tanks as well as anti-tank guns. So it's really good. But it'll be here sort of only able to be attacked from 1 province. And so if they start pushing hard here, we can just hit them from either side and slow them down, hopefully. Hopefully. Unless they're well planned and attack both of the supporting sides first. Okay. Yeah, let's move you 2 up there. They're coming in to support. Okay, so they're all retreating up this way. So, unfortunately, they're defending right now. Okay, good. We're taking out the rebels there. We're still moving our armor down here to be ready for the Allied invasion of North Africa. Let's save then. Okay, we've got a long save here, so that means we're going to have to reboot this after saving. So if you're watching this later on YouTube, thanks so much for liking the videos. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, and of course, post your comments below. Whenever you get one of these long saves, just let it go. Don't touch a single thing. Don't even think about touching a thing, because then it might crash. But if you don't think about it, it's just going to let it take its time. It'll normally save just fine. And yes, it is still touchy. I don't know what to do more than I'm doing, and most everything that I'm doing has already been published. And I am pushing my system a little harder. Okay, there we go. While streaming here, but yeah. Okay, so Thanks, everyone.